Just before the fall of the Berlin Wall, American political scientist Francis Fukuyama's seminal essay, The End of History, announced the triumph of liberal democracy. A quarter century and much history have passed since. He was in Toronto recently, and we asked him 10 questions about optimism. Let's have a look. Question 1. The 19th century was optimistic, the 20th less so. How optimistic is the 21st century so far?
Well, it's very hard to be optimistic from what we've seen of the 21st century at the moment, because many of the integrative institutions have started to break down, and it's not clear what's going to replace it. I do think in the long run, however, that the desire to live in modern societies that are ordered by law and rules is very strong, and that we shouldn't write off that project prematurely.
Question 2. China and India are optimistic. Do countries need to be poor to be optimistic?
I think that economic growth tends to produce more optimistic people, and those countries have experienced economic growth, and conversely, the United States and the European Union have had very big economic setbacks in the last decade. And I think, but that's why you can't take those kinds of readings too seriously, because growth can restart and it can stall in other places.
Question 3. Is it a sign of pessimism that many parents today don't think their children will be better off than they are?
I think that expectations for the future, yes, are important, and it's going to be feeding a kind of politics of resentment if people do not assume that their children can be better off.
Question 4. Do falling birth rates indicate a waning of optimism about the future?
No, I think that has nothing to do with it. If you look around the developed world, the countries with the lowest birth rates are countries in which you have a combination of social conservatism in terms of the role of women, combined with a large number of educated women. And in those countries, women don't participate in the labor force to nearly the same extent as in other parts of the developed world. That's the place where you get these disastrously low birth rates, because educated women, do not want to live under those conditions and have a lot of children as they once did.
Question 5. Did environmentalism contribute to the loss of hope?
Well, I think that that's not something you can blame on environmentalists. I mean, if global warming is a real reality, and there really are hard limits to a certain kind of economic growth, then that's a reality that you have to accept, and you have to figure out how to work around it, or you have to figure out how to adapt. And so it's not as if this is an ideology that was just foisted on us from somebody from the outside.
Question 6. Are science and technology still a source of awe?
I think that it ought to be. I have actually spent some time, in the middle of the United States, where we're experiencing this, or have experienced this fracking boom, which has really doubled American, gas and oil output over the last decade. And that's really awe-inspiring. And in fact, that's part of the reason that energy prices have collapsed over the last year or so. So there's still, I think, pretty wondrous things out there.
Question 7. Are humans getting better at adapting to speed and complexity?
I don't think anybody is ever made comfortable with speed and complexity. I think cognitively human beings like to come up with mental models that simplify things. And anytime you tell them that there's, multiple variables out there that they need to keep in mind, they stop listening to you, because it doesn't compute, according to their mental models.
Question 8. Is digitally engineered immortality a good idea?
I think that the desire for life extension is one of those things that is individually desirable. Who wouldn't want to live longer? But collectively is going to be disastrous, because, collectively there's actually a good reason for people dying. I mean, you need, in certain ways, you don't get innovation and change unless you get a new generation of people that think very differently from their parents' generation. So I think that actually is a threat that we have to worry about in the future, that people will simply not ever leave the stage.
Question 9. Will widespread use of artificial intelligence be the beginning of new history?
I don't think that it's going to be a very sharp turning point. I mean, in many respects, we've been experiencing this really for the last 30, 40 years in small increments where increasingly smart machines can displace people in a whole lot of, a lot of the inequality that people have been, bemoaning is really due to these advances in technology. So that world is one that has already begun to happen, and will take more acute forms, I think, as the technology improves.
Question 10, can humans function without a desire for better?
No, I don't think, human beings are unique in their ability to imagine future states of the world. I think that's one of the things that gives us an adaptive advantage. And obviously, if you can't imagine a better state of the world, you're not going to actually plan to bring it about. So I do think that that's extremely important.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.